So, guys, Seattle Sports Central will be going over an NFL game preview. This one's going to be over the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. Both of these teams last season missed the playoffs, and both of them have to win this game in order to get off to a quick start in their 2019 campaigns. So, we're going to be going over which team that I think is going to win, and also going to give a detailed analysis on this game. This game is going to be on Sunday, September 8th at noon p.m. Central Time. The spread currently says Vikings by 3.5. I think that's pretty accurate. This game should be pretty close. ESPN FPI says Vikings by 66%. Vegas also says the same thing. 30-28 Vikings win this game. So really, all three of those sources are kind of saying the same thing. Vikings win it in a close game. And I think this game, once again, should be a pretty close one. I mean, you got two teams that are very equally skilled. They both were pretty injured last season, so I think if both of these teams can stay healthy, really I think both of these teams could make the playoffs next season. Vikings out of the NFC North, that is a tougher division next year. I mean, you got the Packers and then the Bears, of course, I expect to be pretty good. And the Lions probably won't be much of a impactful team, but for the Vikings, they got competition to beat if they're going to make the playoffs. Here's our stat comparison for this game. Falcons are 6th in total offense, 27th in rushing, and 5th in passing. Vikings are 18th in total offense, 30th in rushing, and 16th in passing. Looking at those rushing games, though, both teams were very injured in those positions last season. Falcons with Devontae Freeman. And then for the Vikings, of course, Dalvin Cook's been having issues. So, something to note there for sure. The passing game last season for the Falcons was a bright spot of the offense. Well, I mean, this offense was pretty good last season for the Falcons. They were able to put up some pretty good yardage to get it to overall 6th position, especially with a 27th ranked rushing offense. That was kind of an interesting stat there. Then defensively, 28th ranked overall for the Falcons. So really their defense isn't as good as the Vikings there. Rushing defense is 23rd, passing defense 27th. Vikings, on the other hand, 4th in total defense, 10th in rushing, and 3rd in passing. I expect that to continue. Vikings really don't lose a whole lot of players on defense due to transfers or trades, so that's a good thing for sure for the Vikings. 2018 records: Falcons were 7-9, Vikings were 8-7-1. So just something to note there. The Vikings were overall a better team last season than the Falcons were, but once again, both of these teams dealt with injuries, and both of them are about equally skilled, so I expect this to be a pretty close matchup. Kind of looking at this, though, typically with the stat comparison, you can see whether a game could be higher scoring or whether it will be lower scoring. It's easier to tell through a stat comparison that in a college football game. I mean, NFL games are much more kind of wild carded. They're much tougher to predict because all the teams are so equally skilled. So it's kind of tough to predict NFL games. What we can see here is that the Falcons' offense is better than the Vikings' offense, but the Falcons' defense is worse than the Vikings' defense. And so I think with that, whenever you see that, it's more likely that you'll see a pretty equal matched game and that the score will not be crazy. I think the score will be more of a moderately scoring game, meaning we could see scores in the 20s to the low 30s. So that's what I'm kind of expecting out of this one. Here's my predictions: 10-10 tie at halftime. I think both of these teams kind of start off about the same pace, but the Vikings end up getting the win in the end, 27-20. It's going to help that the Vikings are at home, and also I think if both of these teams were healthy and going head-to-head, which they will be coming up on Sunday, I think the Vikings win that matchup. I think the Vikings have more talent overall, and their offense honestly can improve much more as a healthy team than the Falcons would be. But I do expect the Vikings to win this game. I think Vikings are a good wild card team that no one really is talking about this season. I think they can make the playoffs. I think they can surprise some people this season. Should be interesting to see what happens there. But once again, it all wraps back around for the Vikings to how good Kirk Cousins does. If Kirk Cousins does well this season for the Vikings, which I mean, it's kind of unlikely. I mean, last season he kind of had a down year. But if Kirk Cousins does well, I think the Vikings, honestly, the sky's the limit for them. Falcons, of course, Matt Ryan, he should do excellent this season. He did last year. And then, of course, the Falcons, once again, they need to stay healthy, and then they can make the playoffs themselves. But, yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on this game in the comments below. Do you think the Falcons can pull off an upset on the road? Wouldn't be much of an upset, but it still would be, as they're kind of against the odds here. But Yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on this game in the comments below. We're going over some NFL game previews. This is my second one of the week. We did the Packers and the Bears previously. That is going to be our Thursday night game for week number 1. Thank you guys all for watching, and once again, be sure to subscribe, show some support if you'd like to, and it all is really appreciated. Thank you guys all for watching. I'll see y'all later.